Some rooms you visit, others you don't want to leave, and that difference has almost nothing to do with decoration. It's a feeling humans have responded to for longer than architecture has existed. Here's what it actually is. Walk into certain rooms, and something registers before conscious thought catches up, a kind of settling, a body-level decision that this space is safe to relax in. Walk into others, technically just as beautiful, and no such settling happens. You might sit down, but some low-grade part of you stays alert, unable to fully release into the space. This isn't about taste or design knowledge. It happens to people with no interest in interior design at all, in rooms they couldn't describe or critique if asked. The response is older than the vocabulary for explaining it. A physical read of the space that happens faster than the eye can even finish taking in the furniture or the color. This is worth naming clearly at the start, because it reframes the entire question this video is asking. The goal isn't to identify what makes a room look good. It's to identify what makes a room feel safe enough to want to stay in. And those are frequently, surprisingly, not the same question at all. The design term for this feeling is enclosure, and it comes from a broader idea architects and environmental psychologists call prospect and refuge. The theory that humans are drawn to spaces offering two things simultaneously: a sense of protection at the back and sides, and an open view forward. It's a pattern with roots older than architecture itself, echoing the same instinct that made early humans favor a cave mouth over open, exposed ground, sheltered from behind, but never blind to what's ahead. A room that provides refuge without prospect can feel like a box, safe, perhaps, but also faintly like being cornered. A room that provides prospect without refuge, all glass and open sightlines with nothing at your back, can feel exposed no matter how impressive the view actually is. The rooms that produce the never want to leave feeling are almost always doing both at once, in careful balance. This is worth being precise about, because it's easy to hear enclosure and assume the answer is simply small, cozy spaces. That's only half correct. The actual answer is a small, sheltered space that still has a clear line of sight to something open, a window, a doorway, a view across the room. Refuge alone isn't enough. It has to be refuge with a view. Get this balance wrong in either direction and the feeling disappears entirely, which is part of why so many technically well-designed rooms still don't produce it. Too much refuge and not enough prospect. A small room with no windows, walls close on every side, nothing to look toward, starts to feel less like shelter and more like confinement. The body's response to this isn't calm. It's a subtler, harder-to-name version of unease. Too much prospect and not enough refuge produces the opposite problem, one that's become increasingly common in a certain style of modern architecture. Floor-to-ceiling glass on every side, no solid wall anywhere nearby to sit against, nothing behind you but more openness. This can look spectacular in photographs and still feel strangely difficult to relax in, because there's nowhere in the room that offers the back-protected feeling the body is quietly searching for. Both failures are common, and both are usually invisible to the person who designed the room, because neither one is a failure of taste. A stunning glass-walled room and a small windowless room can both fail this test completely while looking nothing alike, which is exactly why so few people identify this as the actual problem when a beautiful room still feels somehow unrestful. Enclosure doesn't require architecture to change, a full room, a wing, an entire wall reconfigured. It works at a much smaller scale, one that's genuinely achievable inside a single small apartment without any structural changes at all. A high-backed armchair placed with its back to a solid wall creates a small pocket of refuge on its own, regardless of what the rest of the room is doing. A reading nook tucked beside a window, with a bookshelf or half-wall providing partial shelter at one side, achieves the same balance in miniature. This matters enormously for small apartments specifically, because it means the feeling this video is describing isn't reserved for large homes with dramatic architectural gestures. A single correctly placed piece of furniture, positioned with intention toward this exact balance, can create one genuinely enclosure-satisfying spot inside an apartment that otherwise reads as fully open. This is also why a single chair in the right spot, facing the right direction, with the right thing at its back, can outperform an entire expensively furnished living room that never quite settles anyone into it. Enclosure was never about square footage. It was always about the specific relationship between one seat and the walls around it. Open-plan layouts have dominated small apartment design for a long time, largely for good practical reasons. They make a small footprint feel larger, they improve natural light distribution, and they suit the way many people actually want to live and entertain. But taken to an extreme, with no partial walls, no furniture arranged to create sheltered pockets anywhere, an open-plan apartment can end up entirely without refuge, all prospect, and no enclosure whatsoever. The fix isn't abandoning open-plan living. It's recognizing that an open floor plan needs at least one deliberately enclosed pocket somewhere within it. A reading corner with its back to a solid wall, a dining nook partially defined by a half-height shelf, a single chair angled to face into the room rather than out toward the open expanse of it. Without this, an open apartment can feel spacious and still, paradoxically, never quite restful. This is one of the more counterintuitive findings underneath this entire topic, that the antidote to a home feeling too open isn't adding walls back. It's adding one carefully placed piece of furniture that creates a felt sense of shelter, without sacrificing any of the openness the layout was designed to provide in the first place. Ceiling height plays a larger role in this feeling than almost any other single measurement in a room, and it works in a direction that surprises people who assume higher is always better. A ceiling that feels appropriately proportioned to the room's footprint reads as enclosing in the comfortable sense, held, sheltered, human in scale. A ceiling significantly taller than the room's footprint calls for, even in a genuinely impressive architectural space, can start to feel like it's pulling attention and warmth upward and away from the person actually standing in the room. This is part of why some grand, soaring spaces, cathedral ceilings, dramatic double-height living rooms, can feel more awe-inspiring to visit than comfortable to actually inhabit for hours at a time. The scale that produces wonder isn't always the scale that produces the desire to stay. A slightly lower ceiling, correctly proportioned to a small room, does the opposite. It lowers the visual weight of the space down to where the body actually is. This is genuinely useful for small apartments specifically because it means a lower ceiling, which some might assume is simply a limitation to work around, can actually be working in this room's favor. The instinct to make every ceiling feel as tall and open as possible isn't universally correct. Sometimes the lower ceiling is quietly doing the enclosure work that makes the room feel right. Corners occupy a strange, underused position in most apartment layouts, treated as leftover space to fill with a plant or a lamp, rather than recognized as one of the most naturally enclosure-friendly spots any room already has. A corner offers shelter on two sides simultaneously, at no design cost at all, simply by virtue of where the walls already meet. A single chair angled into a corner, rather than pulled out into the open middle of a room, taps directly into this existing architectural gift. It provides refuge on two sides without requiring a single new wall, shelf, or piece of furniture beyond the chair itself. This is frequently the fastest, cheapest way to create one genuinely enclosure-satisfying spot in an apartment that otherwise offers none. Most furniture arrangement defaults toward the center of a room, treating corners as afterthoughts. Enclosure suggests the opposite instinct might often be correct, that the corner, not the center, is where the room's single most restful seat actually belongs. This is testable in any room in under a minute, without moving a single piece of furniture first. Sit in your usual spot and notice two things. Is there something solid behind you? A wall, a tall piece of furniture, anything providing a sense of shelter at your back? And is there an open sightline somewhere in front of you, toward a window, a doorway, or simply the rest of the room? If both are true, this seat is likely already doing what this video has been describing. If neither is true, if you're seated with your back to open space and nothing but more openness in every direction, that discomfort you may have never quite named now has a specific explanation. The fix is often as simple as turning the chair or moving it 6 inches closer to a wall it currently sits too far from. Run this test through every seat in your apartment, one at a time. Most homes have exactly one spot that already passes without any changes at all. Usually a spot the household gravitates toward without ever discussing why. That gravitational pull, once you know what to look for, stops being a mystery and starts being a design principle you can apply everywhere else. A wall at your back, a view ahead of you. Nothing more complicated than that. And yet it's the difference between a room you visit and a room you never want to leave. You already know which seat in your home does this. Now you know why. So